Our next speaker is Jackie Huba. She's the author of 4 books, including 3 on customer loyalty, Creating Customer Evangelists, Citizen Marketers, and Monster Loyalty, How Lady Gaga Turns Fans into Fanatics. She's a TED speaker, a Forbes.com contributor, and her work has been frequently featured in media such as the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and Business Week. She's an 11-year veteran of IBM and resides in Austin, Texas. Please give a warm welcome to Jackie Huba.
All right, so to begin again, we're going to be talking about how to take those visitors who come into your venue and turn them into marketers who love to talk about what you're doing and share everything about what's going on so that they create new visitors for you. I've been studying customer loyalty for about 15 years, and I'm studying customer behaviors. Why do people go to an experience and then share with other people? And that's the key of what I want to share with you today. How do we get these people into walking, talking, raving fans for what we're doing? And I want to share with you a model of what it means to have people who are loyal to what we're doing and who want to share that. And this is called the loyalty ladder. And so when we start from the very beginning, we think about people being satisfied. And can I say, if any of you are doing surveys where you ask, are people satisfied? I would ixnay that. Because satisfaction today doesn't mean a whole lot. So if someone says they're satisfied, well, if something new comes along, they're going to just jump at that. So satisfied is not really an indicator of is someone loyal to our venue or our business. The next one is retention. And that is people who come back to our venue, our theater, more than once, but that still isn't really loyalty. That's sort of just frequent purchase. And I want to just make a connection there with how many people are part of a points program for an airline? Okay. How many people absolutely, keep your hands up if you freaking love that airline so much you would tell everyone about it. Love that airline. Where are the hands? Right? And so when we think about rewards programs and retention programs, I just want to say that sometimes we get caught up in these rewards. And just like with the airline programs, we're kind of locked in. But that doesn't mean we love that airline. It just means that a points program has locked us in. So if you're thinking about maybe a rewards program or a points program, I don't love them because they're not really indicators of loyalty. The next one is referrals. And now we really get into behavior that we see when people love something and they want to tell other people. People are not going to refer something if they don't believe that that person will have a great experience, right? You're not going to tell your friend to go to a big screen theater in a museum unless you know that that person will have a great experience. So we look at this behavior as this is more an indicator of loyalty than anything that you're seeing around satisfaction or just the fact that they may be coming once or twice. The next behavior is evangelism. My first book was called Creating Customer Evangelists. This is where we get the enthusiasm of customers who just love what we're doing. They just love it. And they go out and they tell people in person, they tell people on social media that you absolutely have to go there for X, Y, Z reasons, right? So these are people who they just feel like everyone needs to know about what you're doing. And so when we see that, that's a level of loyalty that is near the top of where we want to get everyone to be. There's one more level that is really hard to attain, but I believe as leaders in our business, this is the holy grail of where we want to be, and I call it ownership. And that's where these customers really feel like they're part of what you're doing, that they're actually part of the family of your company. And I've done a lot of research into a lot of organizations, and one that really, I think, had some great ownership is Southwest Airlines. I don't know if we have any Southwest Airlines fans at all. Yeah? Well, I have a story for you. Back in 2001, you remember during 9/11. And you remember what happened after 9/11 is that the airline stopped flying for, I think it was about a week. And what happened after that is that a lot of the airline industry started laying their employees off. Well, Southwest had never laid off anyone ever. They've been profitable every single year. And so their customers who knew the gate agents by name were kind of upset by this. And as we were at Southwest interviewing them for the first book that I wrote, they were sharing with us the fact that when people started finding out that others were being laid off, the fans of Southwest started getting they started sending in letters to Southwest. So these letters had gift certificates in them, flight certificates that had been redeemed. They had checks in them. They had money. People were sending money to Southwest saying, put this towards your employee fund because we don't want to see our favorite gate agent laid off. Now, I don't know what airline you flew here. If they weren't doing well, how many people would send them money? Anybody? No. But that's the level of relationship that a lot of Southwest customers who are these road warriors have with their favorite gate agent. So much so that they were so afraid that their gate agent friend would be laid off, that they were sending in money. I mean, that is the highest level. And we see it's a very hard level to attain when we think about our marketing and our customer engagement. But oh my goodness, wouldn't that be great if our customers felt like they were part of us and wanted to help us be successful? Okay, so to go more into this idea of customer evangelism, that customer evangelists, they don't just feel like they need to talk about you regularly, but they want to tell everyone they know. And so how do you spot one? How do you spot one in the wild? Here's the characteristics that you want to know about. First, they do passionately recommend what you're doing, so we talked about that. But they believe in the company and its people. Right? They believe in what the organization is doing. So if you have educational offerings, they believe in that. Whatever the mission of the organization is, they truly believe in it in an emotional way. They will often purchase products and services as gifts. Because they refer you, they know that if they recommend you, people are going to have a great experience. So if there's a way to give it as a gift, they're happy to do that. And I don't know if that's an offering that you give, but you might want to consider. Now, this is one that people don't really think about. These are the first folks who will come to you and complain. And why? Because these folks care and they want you to be better. I don't know if you've seen this research, but for every person who comes to complain, there's 25 people who don't do anything. So that one person who takes the time to come and tell you what's going wrong is literally a click away from being an evangelist, right? They already are because they're telling you. We need to really think about them. And I think some organizations think, oh, I don't know who was Despy, you were saying, oh, there's names for your customers. And so we need to not call these guys names. We actually need to think about the feedback that they're giving us and how we can be better. They also will forgive an occasional slip in service. And we see this online a lot, where you might see on a forum or a Facebook page where someone has a complaint. The behavior you will see is the fans will jump in and say, well, I've not really had that experience, right? And they'll jump in and defend, and they'll also be the first to forgive, one or two things that have gone wrong as long as everything else is going well. And they don't want to be bought. And I was mentioning earlier, I see a lot of companies out there that I research who are trying to pay their customers to talk. And this is something that I would not encourage at all. But we see it a lot with larger companies who want to, how do I get word of mouth? Can I pay for it? Can I incentivize people? And that's something I wouldn't suggest at all, because these folks don't want to be bought. That really sullies the relationship. So it's really about organically, how do we create an experience that gets people talking organically? And they want to be part of something bigger than themselves. So if there's something that's around the community or something bigger going on, people love to be part of that. They want to be part of the bigger environment. So if there's a way to invite them in to volunteer or be part of the organization, in some way help out with the mission, then that's something that they absolutely love. Okay. So in thinking about, I think a lot of people think about in their marketing, we have to get new customers. And so the challenge here, though, is guess what? These super evangelistic customers will get you new customers. And so sometimes when I talk to marketers, they talk about lifetime value of a customer, but we have to look at what that customer spends, plus how many new customers that customer will get for us. And so that's why the current customers who have been through our venue are super, super important. Okay. So when we think about what we want to do to start focusing on them. I call these folks the 1%ers. So in all the research I've done to look at different customer groups and different types of companies, these evangelistic customers are not going to be everybody, right? Everybody is not going to be the raving fans that we want, but the ones that are very valuable. So when you look at your customers, and as Despy was saying, my last book was on Lady Gaga and how she built her fan base. So if you're wondering who that is, that's who's up there. And she does the exact same thing. When you look at your customer base, you look at new customers, your current customers, and then you look at those advocates, the ones who love what you're doing, absolutely love what you're doing. In my research and looking at customer bases across industries, it was about 1% of a total customer base are the absolutely positively raving fans who want to spread the word. And that sounds like a really small number, but they're super, super influential because they're out there talking on social media, they're talking in person, they're talking to everyone they know, and they come back over and over and over. So the two characteristics, they come back often and they tell everyone they know. So they're absolutely some of our best customers. And there's really, sometimes we find these folks who almost love our venue, love our business more than we do. And let me tell you, when I studied Lady Gaga, you guys, do we have any Gaga fans, by the way, out there? Gaga fans? Anyone who would leave your hand up, you would consider yourself a little monster? Yeah? Little monsters? Okay. So if you don't know, a little monster is the diehard fans, right? Absolutely. And you would do anything for Gaga. You would be the first person to maybe buy a concert ticket or a T-shirt or watch the Netflix special, which I don't know if you've seen yet. And so, you know, pop stars and other celebrities might have these raving fans. But I think sometimes we think, well, businesses, they don't really have as insane people as little monsters. And I'm here to tell you that's not true, because in my research, I meet people like Susi, who is a giant Costco fan. And his wife made him this shirt because he likes to buy everything from Costco, from his shoes to his belt to his patio furniture. They live in Southern Virginia, and because he loves Costco, his wife made him this shirt. So that anytime he starts talking about Costco, he can just say, well, you know, I'm Costco, man. That's how much I love it. And when Ron and his wife travel around the US, they have to go to the Costco in that city. They have to visit it. That's kind of crazy. So I'm just telling you the story to share with you that sometimes these folks who are raving fans, they will literally do stuff that to you seems irrational. But when you think about emotions and love and all of that, love can be irrational, right? And so you heard a lot earlier about demographics and psychographics, and there's a lot of data. This is that's on the science side of marketing. This is more on the art side, where we look at this emotional connection and try to understand it and try to keep it high. And I was sharing with Mark what I'm a 1%er for. Sometimes it's hard to admit in some cities, but I'm from Pittsburgh, so I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Oh, who's my Steelers? Where are my Steelers fans? Oh my goodness, awesome. That's so. And I used to live in Chicago, and I would go to the Steeler bar every single Sunday. I don't know who it is here. I don't know. But I live in Austin. I grew up during the 70s, so you know, obviously I'm a fan. On the left-hand side is me going to the Super Bowl in 2010. Those are my custom Converse shoes. That is the tattoo on my ankle. It's the only tattoo I have. And let me tell you, I don't know if we have any people here from Austin, Texas, but I've been there 10 years, and for some reason, everyone there has a tattoo. And so it's very contagious. So when I got there, I was like, oh, well, the only thing I love more than life itself and my dog is the Steelers. So that's the tattoo that I have. And what you see in the lower right is the logo for the Pittsburgh Steelers Fan Club of Austin that I run. Right? You're going to come visit, Mark, aren't you? Yeah, I've been running for 10 years. We have over 200 people who come every single week, and they're black and gold. We have a Shareable Moment. We play the videos, the fight songs. It is amazing, and it is fun. And let me tell you, we're in the middle of it. It is so much work. It is so much work. But this is the behavior of what 1%ers do. I am not paid by the Steelers. I do this because I love bringing people together around things that I love. So when you look at your 1%ers, again, who knows the kind of things that they will do for you, and they'll do it for free. because they want you to be the best. They want to bring people together around the thing that they love. And so these are kind of things that we don't normally think people will do, but they actually will. I mentioned earlier that these 1%ers are super influential. This is some great data that came out a little while ago. Looking at, when you look at a customer base for a business, and they looked at online social mentions for that business, all those mentions came from 4.7% of that customer base. It came from the 1%ers. These are the folks online who are talking. And it's a very, whether it's 1% or 4%, it's still a very small group, and this is the group that we need to find and understand who they are. So for you guys, do you know who your 1%ers are? Do you know who the folks who come to your venue all the time? Do you know who the folks who are online that are talking about you? That is the question I would have for you. If you don't, then I have a tool for you. And I wonder how many people use the Net Promoter methodology? Just a few? Okay. Net Promoter is something that came out of Bain, maybe over, 15 years ago now. And what it is a survey methodology, 2 questions. And what it's measuring is recommendability. So when I was saying earlier about satisfaction, don't ask about satisfaction. If you're going to do surveys, don't ask about satisfaction. Ask this question. How likely would you be to recommend us? 0 to 10, right? Your 9s and 10s are going to be what they call your promoters. These are your 1%ers, your evangelists. These are people who say, I'm very likely to recommend you. They probably already have, right? 0 to 6 are your detractors. These are people who are probably out there talking smack about you. Maybe over the water cooler, maybe online, I don't know. The people in the middle, 7s and 8s, these are kind of the passives. They're probably not saying a whole lot because they don't think there's a lot to talk about, to be quite honest. The way that this score is calculated, you're taking the percentage of the promoters minus the percenters of the detractors, and then you get a score. Now, what Bain has shown is that the companies with the highest Net Promoter scores also have the highest revenue growth. And they've been doing this research for over 15 years, so they know in every industry that they survey that the folks with the highest NPS scores, Net Promoter scores, have the highest revenue growth. And it kind of makes sense, right? Because that means you have the highest percentage of people out there who are saying really good things about you. And so recommendability, to me, is the thing that we want to get from our customers. We want to know who's promoting, who's not happy, and who thinks we should improve more. Now, a lot of people, I don't know if you guys who are using Net Promoter, do you also do the second question? The second question is, tell us why you gave us that score, right? Do you guys not use it? Okay, highly right. To me, this is the key of Net Promoter, right? You're asking people to rate us, would they recommend us? And then the second question is, tell us why you gave us that score. So for the 9s and 10s, and if your survey tool allows you to ask logic questions, I would do this. Ask the 9s and 10s a little bit more specific. When you talk about us, what do you say to other people? Talk about insights. That's going to say what people are saying when they recommend you. That might be some great stuff for your marketing. You might even not know why people are, what they're saying when they recommend you. Could be, it could be anything. But that's great insights. The 7s and 8s, you could say, hey, what could we do that would cause your score to be a 9 or 10? Now you're getting critical feedback on what we could do to improve. And then for the folks who were 0 to 6, there's something wrong there. So you might say, I'm so sorry that you gave us this score. Could you please tell us what we could do to improve to be better? So here's the key. When you do that first score, you benchmark, right? Then you're sending that score every time, you're sending that survey every time someone comes to the theater. Every time. How was your experience? How would you recommend us from this experience? You benchmark it after you send it out to your email list, start to get a number, and then when you start asking that second question, it's going to give you that feedback so you can improve that number, right? And so I've seen companies where they will literally put this in the performance reviews of their employees. Dell uses this. Enterprise Rent-A-Car uses this. At Enterprise, if you're a manager, you cannot get promoted unless your score moves higher. So it's a great tool to use to measure employees, especially frontline folks, and just overall health of your customer base, making sure that you've got way more promoters than you do detractors. I love it. And just so if you're wondering what scores look like, this is literally just came out, 2017 data from Bain, looking at different industries. You can see that the #1 industry here is department and specialty stores, like a Nordstrom, has about a 60. And it goes downhill, and to the very bottom, cable TV and internet, probably not surprised, they're getting pretty bad scores. And this is why, because those companies are really focused. You know how they get you in, they give you all the promotions, and then the service just sucks, right? And so that's why they get these terrible ratings, is because they don't care about the customer after they've purchased something. And so that should be a huge, huge, huge red flag to them. I love it. I could talk all day about NPS because I truly think it's one of the #1 tools you could use for your business in terms of getting customer feedback that's actionable and is also something that you can use as a benchmark to drive your entire staff and your business forward. They've shown that 20 to 60% of organic growth in revenue is attributable to using NPS. I feel like I'm a commercial for it, but I'm an evangelist. I'm a 1%er for NPS. I absolutely love it. 30% better conversion rate on leads, and a 2% increase in retention is almost the same as decreasing costs by 10% because you're spending less to get new customers because they're doing it for you. So that's really the idea here, is to find out who those 1%ers are, right? And then one of the tools we can use is NPS, Net Promoter, to really find them out and also start to improve so that we move more people into the promoter category. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay, cool. A second thing to think about when you think about getting people talking, I mentioned that we're not wanting to pay them. We have to craft shareable moments. Now already, you guys are in an amazing business because coming to your venue, it's an experience, right? It's an experience that people probably want to share because it's so great based on the feedback that Museum Playbook has done on it's just like being there and in the setting of the film. So you already have a great base to start from. Now we need to take that full 60-degree experience and craft it such that people would talk about every piece of it, not just the film. I live in Austin, Texas, and I've been using this case study for a long time. It's one of my favorite case studies to talk about shareable moments, but they're sort of in the film industry, but not in your industry, and that's the Alamo Drafthouse. Do you guys know the Alamo Drafthouse? Yeah, we got some thumbs up over here? Yeah. I love them. I use them all the time. They've been around since 1997. Tim and Carrie League founded the Alamo, and for those of you who didn't give me the thumbs up, don't take my word for it. Entertainment Weekly calls them the best theater in America. Wired calls them the coolest movie theater in the world. And Time just says, best movie theater ever. And having been in Austin for 10 years, I can totally attribute it to that these are absolutely true. Their mission from day one with Tim and Carrie, they wanted to create an amazing and awesome experience for true movie fans, absolutely true movie fans. And so they're super creative in how they think of. They don't see themselves as just showing movies. They really think about what would a true movie fan love. So for example, I don't know if you guys saw this, who love the Alamo, but you remember that Will Ferrell movie, Semi-Pro? I don't remember it either. But there were fans of that, and every person in the theater had on the outfit from the movie. All of them. And what's so great about, when I say shareable moment, you know that everyone in that theater was Instagramming and tweeting and Facebooking the crap out of this because that is an amazing shot. And what kind of fun was that, right? I'm sure it was amazing. And they do this all the time. We were talking about it. You guys were mentioning it earlier. Well, this was the Alamo recently. All clown showing of it. Now, I don't want to see this, and I don't like clowns. But, I mean, obviously, people completely love what's going on here. So now, it isn't just going to see a movie, but it becomes this experience worth talking about. And how fun was it for them to create the costumes and for everyone to do all this great fun stuff and then be together and have a great clown horror time. Now, I know this is something that you guys might not do, but because of your venue and you're kind of locked in, or I don't know. But they also take their experience outside the theater, which I think is quite interesting. They've been doing for a long time this thing called Rolling Roadshow. I don't know if you guys know Rolling Roadshow, where they will actually show the movie in the setting that is where the movie is conceived, right? So for example, they go to Martha's Vineyard, they're showing Jaws, you're sitting in an inner tube drinking a beer and thinking, ooh, what is that under the water? Yikes, I mean, I don't want to be watching people getting eaten by sharks and wondering what's in the water, but these people obviously do. And so they do this all over the place. I think they even did a screening of The Shining at the hotel where they had The Shining. Yeah, again, these things I don't want to do, but you know the true movie fans who love The Shining, wow, that's super, super fun. And so they create these experiences worth talking about. Now, one of the things that, and you guys who know the Alamo, love the Alamo, know that the way they're able to craft the experience in the theater, besides the fun things, is sort of the quintessential, what does it mean to be at the movies at the Alamo? They're very focused on no interruptions, none of that. So they have a lot of rules, hard and fast rules at the Alamo. So, for example, they don't show any ads before the film. So they'll show trailers, but they're not going to show an ad for a soft drink or something like that, right? They don't allow children under 6, no unaccompanied minors. The new rule they just put in place is if you show up after the movie has started, you don't get in. Yeah. Yes. So even though you bought that ticket online 5 days ago, you missed it, sorry. Because they don't want people traipsing in and out, right, during the movie. And that's a new one. But their most controversial, and I think most people might know them for that last rule, which is no talking, no texting, no using your phone during the movie. How many people have been to the Alamo and have actually seen a film at the Alamo? Okay, so you guys know, right? When you're there is no way you don't know this rule about no talking, no texting, because there's a public service announcement right before the film, right? Often it's kind of funny. They'll use different actors to say, don't talk during this film. Then the voice of God comes on. Literally on the screen it says, this is now a no talking zone. You may not use your phone. They explain, if you use your phone or talk or text and someone complains, you will be warned by a manager. On the second warning, you'll be thrown out of the theater without a refund. And they mean it. They mean it. So it's no one who's in that theater does not know that this is a rule, that you do not talk, you do not text. And everyone who goes then starts to know it. Well, something happened a few years ago. Did I mention they serve food and alcohol there? Because I think one young woman had a few too many, was using her phone, got thrown out. She was pissed. She called the corporate voicemail and left a nasty gram. Yes, she did. And the next day, the folks at the Alamo heard it and they thought, you know what? That would make a great YouTube video. And they turned it into a YouTube video, and I'm about to show it to you right now.
Yeah, I was wondering if you guys actually enjoy treating your customers like pieces of because that's how I felt when I went to the Alamo Drafthouse. Okay? You know what? I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to text in your little crappy theater. It was too dark in that place for me to find my seat, all right? I was using my phone as a flashlight to get to my seat. So excuse me for using my phone in USA, United States of America, where you are free to text in a theater. I was not aware that I couldn't text in your theater, all right? I've texted in all the other theaters in Austin, and no one ever gave a about what I was doing on my phone, all right? And it was on silent. It wasn't on loud. It wasn't bothering anybody. You guys, obviously, were being assholes to me, and I'm sure that's what you do, you know, to rip people off. You take my money, and then you throw me out. You know, I will never be coming back to your Alamo Drafthouse or whatever. I'd rather go to a regular theater where people are actually polite. And you know, I'm going to tell everyone about how you are. And I'm pretty sure you guys are being assholes on purpose. So thanks for making me feel like a customer. Thanks for taking my money, asshole.
Right? So you can imagine what happened online. All the Alamo 1%ers were like, yes, this is why we don't go to any theater but the Alamo, right? And then people in cities where there was no Alamo was like, oh man, we need an Alamo in our city. The media went crazy. It was reported everywhere. Even Anderson Cooper did an entire segment on CNN about this incident and said that Tim League, the CEO of the Alamo, should win the Nobel Peace Prize for standing up for moviegoers everywhere, right? Now, I'm not saying that if a customer who's pissed calls your voicemail, you should make a video, make fun of them, and put it on the web. Please don't tweet that I said that. I'm not saying that at all. This was a risk. This was quite a risk. But I think it works for them because they're so hard and fast about their mission of providing an amazing experience, a experience that is not, doesn't make you annoyed by your other patrons. These are the kind of people they don't want, and they were very happy to say, if you are someone who wants to use your phone in a theater, we're not the theater for you. Sorry. Right? And in that way, I love that they're not worried about marketing to everybody. They're only worried about marketing to true movie fans who get this. And I think that's why it made sense. And they did consult their lawyers, so thank God. They didn't name the poor young woman. But I think that that is the idea, is how do we find those folks and attract those folks who love our mission, which is, for these guys, a great movie experience. Whatever your mission is, how do we attract those people and turn them into marketers? And so that is the homework for y'all, is how do we find those 1%ers? Net Promoter might be a fantastic tool for you to find them if you don't already know them. And then how do we craft shareable experiences? Let me tell you, social media is just a word-of-mouth jet stream today. And for us as business leaders and marketers, it is a way, when we create those shareable experiences, it allows people to do the marketing for us. And we should absolutely use that. But it's up to us to craft experiences that are visual. They have to be visual because that way people start sharing them and talking about them. And they make people want to tell everyone they know that you have to come to our theater. You guys, that's all I have time for right now. So thank you so much for your time.